Specialist. I am the product specialist for this video, and today in this video we are going to go over layers in Illustrator. So layers is very similar to the way it usually works with it is in Photoshop and most of the other Adobe products that are out there, but the idea here with layers is to try to organize your space to try to get them all in a hierarchy that works best together. Now, you got to think of it as, the best analogy that I can think of is a sandwich. And the artboard itself, where you see everything in the final product of where the artboard is going to be, is the top-down version of your sandwich. So you can see the bread, the cheese, the meat, and then the other bread underneath. And then the layers panel itself is everything seen from a side view. So you're going to see where all of that hierarchy sits and everything else, and how everything goes into play. Now, the difference between layers in Illustrator and most of the other products that are out there is every single little thing you do in Illustrator will create a sublayer. So with these layers here, I'm going to show these the rectangles panel here. These are all rectangles or squares, depending on which way you want to look at it. And all of these are positioned in every way, shape, or form. That all has the colors here that you need, or everything you need here. So these here are all the rectangles, and I can actually click on the actual rectangles using my selection tool, and I will actually see where that rectangle sits within the hierarchy. So from here you can see it's not to the top, but there's nothing on top of it, so there's nothing to block it from its view. So I have that ability there to, let's say, move it around, and I can see where other rectangles come into play that are in its way. Now, if there's a particular shape that you know that is going to be within the hierarchy, so let's say I want to choose the top one, I can easily go ahead and click on the circle here, and this will allow me to select that shape there, and it'll be able to move it around. Now, this is all a layer to itself, and this is all the sub layers right here with every single piece, every single stroke. So if I decide to add in, let's add in a stroke here. And as you could tell, it created a path in that same layer underneath that layer there. Now, from here, I can move this around within the top layer there if I need to. If I want to move the hierarchy around and say move some of the shapes around, I can do that there too by clicking on dragging on this. So the easier way to move this up and down, other than moving through here of your own fruition on the hierarchy, you can easily use your control and bracket keys after you selected the object. So I'm going to select the triangle object here, and I'm going to use my left bracket to bring it down with control. So control in that left bracket, it's between, right next to the P on your keyboard, and then the right bracket, which is right next to that, next to the backslash, you'll be able to bring it up from the hierarchy there. Now, I can always hide a panel here. If I wanted to hide an object, I can easily hit the I here to hide it from everything, and then I can bring it back by hitting that empty space. I can also lock it down so that I can no longer select it. I'm just going to select the objects underneath, so that's a way to lock it. You can also click and drag to lock multiples at once if you want to, or if you want to lock the whole thing down, just hit the layer, no, the empty box next to the eye and the layer, between the layer and the box, and you'll lock the whole thing down. So from here I can't even touch it. So now you can create second layers to create certain things. So this will help you out with your organization. So I usually use the bottom layer, of course, to create my backgrounds. And then if I need to make a layer dedicated to base colors, I can easily do that. And then if I have one dedicated to tints and shades, so highlights or shadows or something along those lines, if I'm doing, especially when it comes to portraits and so forth, I can easily do that, no problems, to put them all together in those layers, and then have them all hidden if I need to, when I need to hide it, and so forth. So also, layers don't need, the sub layers don't need to stay within each other. So if I want to move, say, this triangle, I'm going to move it up to the higher layer, I can easily do that by just clicking and dragging it. But I cannot use my shortcut keys to move it to the next layer. It doesn't work that way. So you have to move it into the next layer in order for you to position it in the hierarchy, and then from there you can use your bracket keys to bring it up and down. Same thing with my polygons. So I can say I want to bring that path tool above the polygons. I can do that. Boom, there it is. All right. So all layers can be renamed. So I can rename this. So I can say polygons. The next one, I can say circles. Can collapse that again, and I'm going to use squares. So again, as you notice, I've been messing with these arrows here to collapse everything. That's perfectly fine, and so forth. So that is layers in a nutshell. In the next video, we're actually going to go over grouping, which is going to be I wanted to show you how to group things together, and then how you're going to see it in the actual layers. But the first part I wanted to really show you guys is the layers itself and how you're going to be able to move those around in different layers, and just giving you an understanding of what this is about. So this is just a way for you to organize everything and make it a lot easier when it comes to Illustrator, when you're pushing 400 or 500 polygons or 400 or 500 different paths into something, and this is going to help you organize that all together. Once again, my name is Tony Arenas, and this has been Basic Layers in Illustrator, and I will see you in the next video.